Alright guys, today we're going to be showing you how to install a 12 by 4 inch wheel with the monkey hub onto the NCY Slam front end kits. You're going to have these 3 titanium coated bolts here. You're going to want to take these out from your monkey hub. They should be in there fairly loose. There's going to be another 3 more bolts in there that are still in there but fairly loose as well. With those, you're going to want to make sure you put the Loctite on all 3. And we're going to take the bolts out now and just show you where you would put the Loctite on them. Take your Loctite, put it on the bolts here. Fairly simple. You're going to put them back into the hub. Now that you have the 3 bolts in, you'll see there's 4 more on the back side here. That's what's going to hold your rim to the actual monkey hub. You're going to want to take these out. They should be in there fairly loose as well. Now you want to flip your rim around and find the side that has the recess cut, especially with our TRS wheels. They're made to fit our monkey hubs like so. You're going to slide that in, and it should fit in just perfect. You can see you just want to line up the 4 holes on this recess. Once you get the holes lined up, you take your 4 bolts here, and you can put some Loctite on these as well and start threading them through. You want to make them finger tight for now, and then you can go through and tighten them one at a time.
"2,000 years later."
Now that you have your monkey hub in, you're going to flip it around, and it's always a good thing to take some blue painter's tape and run it along the inside of the barrel of your rim, whether it's the NCY or 12 by 4 like we are in this video, just to protect your powder coat or your finish. When you'll see why we're doing this in a couple minutes. We're going to do this so you protect your rim from getting any scratches, dings, dents when you're sliding on the caliper. You don't need to put too much on. You can just run along the edge here. The caliper is not going to go too deep. You can put just as much as like how we have right here. Okay, so next up you're going to take your floating rotor. As you can see here on our hubs, the adapter plate we make, the rotor fits right in. You'll see it won't go any other way, it'll snug right down. Then you're going to take your 3 bolts that you had taken out of the hub earlier. You're going to want to thread those in, but still leave them loose. And you'll see why in a minute. Alright. You're going to take your 4 piston caliper and take the piece out of the middle between the pads. You're going to lift up your rotor and slide the caliper over like so. And this is why we have you taping off your barrel, because you can see how close that the actual caliper gets to your rim. Now we're just going to tighten up the 3 rotor bolts. You don't have to make it super tight because you are going to be taking them out shortly in a little bit, one at a time, to put your red Loctite on and make sure it's all fitting correctly. Alright, now that we have that hand tight, you're going to be grabbing your axle spacer kit, and you'll see inside the kit it has a directional guide and it'll also show you what the kit provides. You have a couple small spacers, there's 2 washers, you have 2 of the longer M8 bolts for the caliper adapter, and then you have 2 of the little spacers right here that you're not going to be using in this kit. Right now you're going to see there's 2 different spacers. One's a little bit longer than the other. You're actually going to be taking the short of the 2 and putting it inside the left hand side here where your caliper is. Alright, next we'll be grabbing the left side shock and also your 12mm axle. You're going to take one of the axle nuts off, take your fork, and you'll notice it's the one with the adapter side on it. Slide the axle through, and you should be hitting the bottom. We're hitting the cardboard here. Now you're going to be taking the caliper adapter here, along with these two black spacers that are provided. And you're going to line it up on the fork tube here. You can take these two black swell spacers and slide it underneath each one of these tabs and use the bolts provided to attach the caliper adapter to the fork. You can see the other one's going to go right here. We'll line that up with the bolt, put the adapter in, and tighten that up as well. Next, you're going to take the bolts provided with the axle spacer kit along with some 10mm washers that you may have to go pick up at your local hardware store. We found this to work best with this NCY kit, the slam kit. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 of these washers here, stack them up, and place them in between the caliper adapter and the caliper. You're going to put the bolt through and get it hand tight. You don't want to put it down too much because you want to make sure you get the other bolt in as well. You take 3 more of these washers and put them on the other side of the caliper adapter and the caliper. And now you're going to want to get these bolts down finger tight. Okay. You want to get these finger tight because you want to make sure that this caliper is not moving back and forth over the rotor. You want to make sure that you have a good gap in between the rotor and the caliper. As you can see here, it has decent clearance. We're going to flip it on its side. You're going to push the axle all the way through. And you're going to take the long spacer from our axle spacer kit, slide it over the axle. Then we have our 2 washers. You're going to put those next. Washers, then the fork, and then your axle nut. Now you might have to loosen up your axle nut on the other side to give it about even spacing or the same amount of threads showing on each side of the fork tube. This is your speedo adapter that they gave you with the kit. You're not going to use that. And they also give you a speedo cable that goes with it. Both of these gone. I'm going to flip this around so you can see that the spacer kit that we provide here, or that you can buy from our store, gives you the right amount of gap between each fork. And you can see it's fairly even here. And then on this side here, I'll show you that our rotor has been sitting center inside the caliper. If you do tend to have issues with it rubbing on the inside here, you may have to play around with the washers. So that's why I say you should get at least 8 to 10 of those M10 washers. And then for the bolts over here on the caliper adapter side, these are M8 washers. And you could put some in here as well, just to make sure that it clears and it doesn't hit on the rotor. And you can spin this fork around freely like so, and you won't have any rubbing.
Right, this is going to be in a white box. It's probably going to have a little plug in here. This is your master cylinder. You can have all this other stuff, these little bolts. So, I'm going to show you how to hook this up. This right here is your brake switch, and this little tip It's going to go right into here. You're going to take this small screw, put it in, and use the screwdriver. Tighten it up, and it should stay. Here's your lever. This lever goes in, and it's going to press against this piece. So you're going to put this in like this. And then you're going to have to use your, I believe it's a 10 millimeter. So you screw this in. All the way done. And we'll show you, once it's done, you're going to put this little nut on the end. This is where your mirror goes. And you have two sets of banjo bolts. One of them is going to be for the caliper, and one of them is going to be for your master cylinder. And this is how this comes. So, what they recommend is using this end here. This one right here has the rubber that gets moved up. And this one, you take this off, and you're going to put this like so. We've also seen a lot of people actually put it in like this and cut this off. You're going to take one of these, put this on like this, that, this, and screw that in. That's what this is for, to prevent it. You're going to tighten this up. This is your bleeder valve. You're going to tighten that up, and that's an 8 millimeter. Put the cap on. Put it on the handlebars. If you have stock handlebars, we're going to show you what to do so you don't have to use the little button that's included. We'll be right back. So NCY gives you this. It's a start button, kill switch, the plug to plug into your OEM plug, which it is junk. Take this, throw it in the trash. So you have your master cylinder, and what we see a lot of people do is they actually turn this all the way so that it's like this, so they can at least squeeze this. There's a better solution than that. What you're going to do is you're going to take this off, and we'll show you an easy fix. So we just put it on to show you some demonstration, because this actually holds your throttle tube in there. So you have to have this, or you have to get an aftermarket one. If you get an aftermarket one, now you have to get a new start button. So here's the fix. You take, and naturally yours is not going to be powder coated black, it's going to be silver. You're going to take a hacksaw, and you're going to put this in a vise and make 3 cuts. You're going to cut this way, and this way. Cut this off. Then you can take some sandpaper, buffing wheel, polish it up if you want. You don't have to. Once this is gone, you're going to lose this, which is your brake switch, because you already have one here. And this does plug right into the stock OEM, and it's even the same colors. So you're going to lose this. Now, if this wasn't there, you'd be able to squeeze this fully extended if this was closer here. Pretty simple, saves you a lot of money, and you still have your stock throttle control. And if you want to put your mirror back on, you can put it in here. We'll be right back and we'll get to show you how to completely finish it.
Now that you're all set up at the lever, you're going to go down to the caliper side here, and they'll give you this line provided with these banjo fittings. And you'll see here that this is going to go, you don't want to put the straight end down low, you want to have the angled one because of the 4-piston caliper already has this banjo fitting on it. So you're going to take this fitting off, the little plastic ring they put, and you'll see you're going to line it up where the banjo goes like so. So it's kind of out of the way from the other banjo. Now with this blue banjo fitting and bleeder bolt that they give you, you're going to see why I don't recommend using it. You can use it. I'll show you in a second here. I'm going to put the crush washer provided over it first, and then slide it through the fitting here like so, and then put the other crush washer on, and it would go inside here like so. It might hit your barrel like this, so we usually don't recommend using this. So I'll show you what we recommend using instead. And we have our banjo fitting right here, and it's going to be a hex head M10 by 1.25, and you would put this through the stainless brake line and pop this cap out first. And you can see once you tighten this up in the caliper, it's a lot cleaner look, and it's also not sticking out as far as the other bleeder is, and you won't have two bleeders on your caliper. And it's going to be a lot easier for cleaning purposes. Now on the other side, you'll see there's this rubber fitting here. You can cut this off, just make sure not to hit the actual brake line and cut through it, or you can slide it down like so. For the top of the line, we have a couple different fittings that you can take off the straight fitting that NCY provides. We have black ones, silver ones, and you can put on instead. Okay, so now when you put the forks in the triple tree, you'll see there's these bolts here. It's going to slide in that groove, the top bolt. You're going to make sure you take it out completely, and you can see it's going to catch right in that groove. You're going to want to use red Loctite on all of these. Also, let me flip it over here. And you're going to take each bolt out one at a time and put Loctite on it, and then put it back in along with each one of these rotor bolts here. And you'll spin this around, catch each one of the bolts where Loctite, tighten it up. These axle nuts, you want to back it off some, put some Loctite on it, put it tight again, do the other side, Loctite on it, tighten it up, back it out, and then let the Loctite seat. And you want the rim to move smoothly like this. Hope this helps, guys.